to my YouTube video today. Oh my goodness, you guys, this is the second time recording this video. I looked back at the footage today and I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna have to redo it. Not because of the content in it, it's just I had a candle here that looked like it was gonna burn. And throughout the video, you see it getting darker and darker and darker, like around the perimeter of it, that it was just so distracting that I was like, no, like I cannot have a distraction like that in the back. Already I'm working on the whole background and stuff, so you know, it's coming together little by little. I might still tweak it up here and there, but for now, this is pretty much it for now until I decide to change it. But anywho, I came back, took that candle out, instead put something else there, and I just have one little candle going and that's it. But anywho, now back to this video and for what you guys came here for. Now, as you guys can tell by the description here on the video, I am going to be reviewing Echoes of Us by Sandra Timmins, and I'm actually glad that I don't think I butchered her name. I usually butcher author names so badly, but I don't know. I hope I didn't for this time around. But anywho, this is a young adult contemporary romance book. So if you're interested in knowing more about this book, definitely keep watching. I do have to say at the very end, I do have a little bit more information in regards to this book. Just in the topic that it does bring up, a little bit of awareness and whatnot at the very end. Nothing big, but just wanted to kind of add that to this video. So let me just start by showing you guys the actual cover of the book. I'm really trying to avoid getting the glare on my nook, but I think I can't avoid it at all. But this is kind of how it looks. I'm gonna have it kind of at an angle so you guys can still see it, but I don't, you see, like you guys would end up with like a major glare. But yeah, this is how it looks here in the ebook. It's really difficult for me sometimes to review something with an ebook because I don't have the actual paper copy and I'm usually flipping and showing you guys the book. But this is a freshly new book. I believe the copyright was 2019, so I think it was this year when it was definitely published. On Amazon, there's the ebook available for the Kindle. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you guys will definitely be able to read this free. I personally do. But nonetheless, that's actually not where I got this book from. So I do want to have like full disclosure here and definitely give you a little bit more insight as to how I even got to this book. Because I do want to say that I didn't know anything about this author or this book until I actually got a little notification on my Facebook. Here's the thing, I do join several group pages. A lot of them are private, but this particular one is a young adult reader and author kind of group page. So authors do come up and they basically ask the readers if they are interested in possibly reviewing their books. This one in particular, Timmins ended up posting a post just a few days back, and it definitely was something a little bit more different in the YA genre, young adult genre, and I really was intrigued by it because it is something that definitely in that genre, that's actually the kind of genre I used to read during my high school years as well as during my whole young adult life, which was contemporary romance. So that was something that really drew me in. So definitely I requested to read it with obviously giving her my honest review. Whether it was bad or good, it doesn't even matter. The point is that you really have to give your review and feedback back to the author. I started reading it and it was definitely smooth sailing. I was very surprised that it wasn't so complex when you first started reading it. A lot of authors I have noticed, especially now more recently, when they do start off with their books, you see a lot of complex words. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. I'm just saying that sometimes you have to reread that paragraph to really understand where that word is coming from, or where you can actually add it into that context and actually understand the word without pulling out a dictionary. Because let's just say I'm a reader, but I'm not like a dictionary huge guru person here. So that I do have to put out there. But that being said, I do have to tell you that this particular book can get a little bit intense. By intense, I do mean that it does have a lot of vulgar language in it. Definitely some sexual scenes in here. So it does have those two things that can make the book a little bit more intense for a young adult book. I would have to say this book is definitely kind of in the little tiny tidbit moment of going into an adult book, you know what I mean? But it doesn't reach it yet, and I totally get it. But even like the topic just makes sense in the young adult world, because let's be honest, I was a young adult before. I know what would go on. I would see my friends and, you know, people that I knew go through some stuff, especially hormones are all over the place. And this does happen. Not only that, it does bring up a lot of awareness of abuse and domestic abuse and a lot more deeper stuff into this. So here's the thing, let me go straight into a little bit of what this book is about. I am not going to put spoilers on here, but at the very end, I'm going to give you my full and honest review on this book. I already posted my review on my Goodreads page as well on Amazon. I did eventually end up contacting the author later on because I really enjoyed it, and I was really hoping that there was going to be another book coming out and stuff like that, which good to know. She said yes, that there probably is something coming out that's going to be like a companion to this book. So I'm so excited, you guys. Now, do take into account during my review, this is a reviewer's copy, so definitely you might see some like editing errors or whatnot, but I did notify the author and she was super nice about it. I usually don't pick up on these things, but I definitely did. But anywho, back to the book now, you guys. So let me give you guys little tidbits of what this book really is about. So we're going to follow Jolene, who she originated from the other side of the tracks. Now, for those who may not know, or don't live in a city where they have a lot of tracks, this actually really does make a lot of sense, because in this particular neighborhood, or in this plot, in the story, you do have tracks that basically divide the really poor to the really rich. Now, also Jolene lives in this side of the tracks, the not so pretty side. And in there, she is 11 years old and she's growing up with her single mother and her grandmother. She also has a really good friend. He's also an 11-year-old boy named Cruz, and they become the best of friends ever. Their friendship just evolved so big that to them, they always saw each other with each other no matter what. But then a tragedy did happen, and things just kind of, the turmoil in this story, just definitely the dynamics changed really drastically. And this is the part where it starts to get really interesting and definitely starts to develop. So in this story, Jolene then, due to this tragic thing, Deanne, her mother, decided to go and live with Victor. Supposedly to take care of his son Byron. So they end up moving to the other side of the tracks, which was a more fancier, nicer neighborhood. And Victor, he's really known for being this very well-known person in the community, very rich, very high class. And his son Byron is just, oh, he is something. But anywho, before I get into that, so Jolene moves in with them, and eventually the mother does marry Victor, and Victor ends up being her stepdad, and her stepbrother ends up being Byron. So she's living under the roof with them, and it is really intense. This is where it starts to get really crazy. You start to learn a little bit more about what's been going on throughout all these years. Now you're in Jolene when she is a senior, and in this period of time, she definitely decides to change who she is, and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna bring out the real me. So Jolene really wants to be known as something a little bit more different than just this really sweet little girl, and she's just tired of what she is living through day to day in her home behind closed doors, which is really intense. So I don't want to say too much, but definitely in her senior year, this new boy comes into town, and he is like the new football player, absolutely amazing, and it turns out to be Cruz. And that is where I'm gonna stop saying so much stuff, because everything changes for Jolene. Everything changes for Cruz. And a lot of things have to be done. This story starts to really pick up pace. And the way that this author wrote this book is just so smooth, easygoing, straight to the point, and yet develops these characters in such a way that it just meshes together perfectly. Definitely Jolene has to go through so much, not only with dealing with her stepbrother, but also dealing with her stepfather, and then also dealing now with school and Cruz coming back into her life. So everything gets changed, and really the thing is all about Jolene and how she develops and how she becomes a person she ends up becoming at the very end. I love the way her character flowed, and I definitely love her friend Stephanie, her best friend Stephanie. She just definitely grew on me in such a way that it's just so hilarious, but at the same time, she is raw, she is straight to the point, and she's pretty vulgar herself. Nonetheless, this is a very enjoyable read. So I do want to say that what I really loved about this author is at the very end, you are not just left with the story and the message or whatnot, but the author does give an afterwards, basically expressing the necessity that if you are going through any kind of abuse, to definitely to seek help. She even gave several numbers out there for anybody who may need to reach out to someone. And I believe it was the, hold on, because I'm gonna read it right down here. I put some notes down. It's the National Domestic Violence Hotline, as well as the National Centers of Victims victims of crime. I am going to put that information down at the description. This is a kind of difficult subject for a lot of people to even talk about. But being that I went through some things in my past, I definitely want to stress the importance of getting help. I found some help through my own family and friends, and I just want to say that that helped so much. But for those people who they can't count on family and friends to help them out, definitely reach out to these centers, give a call. Now to the actual review and what my thoughts, my full thoughts are of this actual book. Go with an open mind with this book. Some people may think that it's a little bit too intense for the genre, but you know what, to be honest with you, I think it is perfect, dead on. Like it hit the nail on the head, like big time. Yeah, if you want a really great read, this is actually a really quick book. I will definitely give it a 5, and actually I have given it a 5 in Goodreads and Amazon. I just personally think it's a really great book. If you're into a book like this, then definitely this would be your cup of tea. And like I said, if you're really, this may trigger you a little bit, I would probably recommend to go in with caution. Anywho, you guys, I'm going to end up concluding this video before I keep jabbering on. Anywho, definitely give this video a like if you guys actually enjoyed it, and also subscribe if you want to see more content from me, and click the notification button if you want to get notified every time I upload. So until next time, you guys, toodles!